You're listening to Spiritual Cosmic Podcast with Lady D, the podcast where the mystical meets the real. I'm Lady D, psychic medium, astrologer, and spiritual guide, here to share raw insights, cosmic wisdom, and real life soul talk. Let's dive in. Welcome to Spiritual and Cosmic with Lady D. So I am 1/4 of the 4 pillars. This is the podcast where mystical meets every day. So I'm your host, Lady D, psychic medium, astrologer, spiritual guide, and cosmic truth teller. So each week we'll dive into a real talk about living and spiritual life in a human world, the good, the bad, the beautiful, messy, and in between. From psychic insights and astrology breakdowns, so to soulful chats and cosmic truths. This is your sacred space to awaken, expand, and keep it 100% real. So grab your crystals, open your heart, and let's get spiritual and cosmic. So hi, welcome to my first podcast. I've had other podcasts up before, but this is my first doing it solo. So I am someone, I always tell people that I am a spiritual being living a human existence. So today we're going to do a topic every time that I do a podcast. And today my topic is all about timing and, why things don't happen when we want it to happen, and it can be quite frustrating as well. So I'm going to, tell you guys some stories, chat about life experience. So let's begin with the first topic on timing. So I often hear people talk about manifesting. I'm someone that doesn't believe manifesting, and I will cover that more deeply. We talk about manifesting as a topic. So I am an astrologer, so I do follow the planets. And I can remember that years ago now, so we're looking at going back to towards 2000 and around 2013. I'm someone that is born with Saturn in my 8th house, among other planets. I have 4 planets in my 8th house, and 8th house rules money from other people, is how I read it. A lot of astrologers, they read things, some of us, we read things differently. So I'm a self-taught astrologer. But when we have Saturn in the 8th house and also transiting, it can be problems with money. Sometimes it can be harder to save more money going out. And during my experience with that transit with Saturn going through my 8th house, I remember it was my first time of getting some red light fines and some speeding fines. But also, too, I actually got some letters in the mail, and it was from the government, the tax. So but back, if you remember, when you used to work, we all have super in Australia, but you would have your different super accounts. So every time you seem to go to another workplace, you would get another super account would open up for you. So I knew I had 2, besides the current one that I was using for my current workplace, but it was something in the back of my mind, but didn't really think about it. But the taxation department, or I think it was some sort of super agency, sent me a letter about they had found 2 super bank accounts in my name. Now, my name was, when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to use my birth name in my last name. Why, you ask? Because my mother had remarried someone, and he was quite controlling. He wasn't a very nice person, and I'll probably talk about him more in different podcasts, in some of my experiences with him. But I was made to not use my birth name. So back then it was quite easy. So I'd go to school and I would be known as his last name. And so everybody knew me as his last name, not my actual last name. I actually finished my HSC, high school certificate, in that name. I had bank accounts in that name. So to get my driver's license, eventually I had to get my mum to sign something over to say this was my birth name. Because the only idea I had my birth name was my birth certificate. But when I started working, I again was using this other last name. So but I had the tax file number. You have the same tax file number. That's how I found it, through the tax file number. And I remember I had to fill out a form for one account, and it got transferred over into the super account that I had been mainly using, which had the most money into it, which was great. And then I had to transfer over this other account, and I couldn't because it was the problem with this name. And they were like, I explained the situation, explained what had happened when I caught up. And they were like, get your mum to do a stat deck to say that this is what happened. So I'm like, okay, I will. And, I knew Saturn was in the 8th house, and back then I'd be like, oh, yeah, no, this is going to be fine. It'll work out. Anyway, it didn't. My mum did not want to sign the stat deck for whatever reason. She just didn't want to do it, refused to do it. So I could not access that money. I tried multiple times. It wouldn't work. And then I kind of just thought to myself, well, it's not working. No matter what I do at the moment, it's just not happening. I'm just going to wait. And I thought, well, Jupiter will be going eventually in that 8th house in a few years. So I will just wait and I'll try again. So a few years went by, kind of forgot about it, and eventually Jupiter comes in to that house, the 8th house. And this is what I mean by, like, I follow the planets. So I believe in destiny, and I follow the planets. And I didn't have to do a thing. I got a letter in the mail simply saying that they found this bank account, super account with that, again, through my tax file number, and they had transferred it for me. I didn't have to do a thing, over into the super account that I was then using. So sometimes we push and we push and we push, and we try to make things happen, and it's not working out. It's not happening. Now, for people who don't follow astrology, wouldn't know their birth chart, their transits, they're not going to know why. But sometimes it's just not the right time. It's not the right place. So it is about, sometimes, if it's not working out for you, to sit back and wait till it is time. And when the timing is right, things will happen. That is one thing that I've come to realize as I've, grown up, as I've done readings for different people, as I, see things for myself, that timing is a thing of destiny. Sometimes we can't pick times. I mean, when I do my charts, I can give you a time frame of when things are going to happen. But when I'm giving a psychic reading out to someone, sometimes I always say either I'm spot on, or I'm a bit off, or I could be way off. And that is true. There are times where I get feedback to say, yes, these things happened here and there. I remember when I was starting out, and I had my mentor that taught me astrology, actually. She was selling a house, and she would say, you're the psychic, tell me when this house is going to sell. And I remember I said to her, March. And I was even getting it would go for 1.3. And she was like, oh, no, we want it. It was like a different price they wanted or something. Anyway, March came, March went. The house didn't sell. And she's like, you said this house was going to sell in March. And I was like, well, I don't know. And she was like, and I remember she would give me photos of realtors, and I would give her readings on these different realtors. Anyway, and I was saying to her, remember, I said to her that a nice family was going to buy this house. And I kept on getting March again. And again, the 1.3. So the house did sell for 1.3. And it sold. It wasn't that I was wrong. It wasn't the March that I thought. I was just getting March. I wasn't getting a year. It sold the following March. So my timing in that place, it wasn't wrong. It was just, wasn't that year. So sometimes that happens as well. You just get a month and it could be that month coming up, but it could be the next year. Or you might get a 2, which could be 2 years, 2 months, 2 days, the second month of the year. We get these jigsaw puzzle pieces as readers. So we don't know everything, but we get puzzle pieces. But my main message is today, if you're trying to make something happen and it's not working out, it's just not happening for you. It may be it's just not timing. It's not the right time. It's not the right place. And it's something that will happen for you. You just need to believe in destiny, or just, I also find if something's not working for me, I will sort of channel my energy into things that I can control, and I'll go about my day. I'll go about my life like I did back then with that super. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. But then in the back of my head, I was like, every time I would think about it, oh yeah, when Jupiter comes into that 8th house, I must try and ring them up and see if I can get it in. But in the end, I didn't have to. It just automatically happened. I'm also someone who has Jupiter in the 8th house as well. So, yeah, I do get a bit lucky with money as well. So it's interesting. And I mean, that planet Saturn, I mean, I'm not a fan of Saturn. I know a lot of astrologers say it's the planet that teaches you lessons and, makes you put more structure. For me, no. And I've just, my experience with that planet is that it just creates problems. Even when you think it's in a house where you're not going to have many problems, it will create problems. So I've learned to not think that it's not going to cause any dramas for me in a house where I might be like, oh, it'll be okay in that house, because something always will come up. It may not be as bad, but it will come up. So I'm going to leave you with my thought today is if something's not falling into place for you, don't despair. Just realize that it may not be timing yet. Have faith it will happen. But as I said, go about your day and focus on what you can control and just see what happens. You might forget about what you're trying to achieve, whatever you're trying to do, but then one day, it just might fall into place with you. So that's the end of my first podcast. If you want me to talk about anything, any certain topic, please put it in the comments and I will address it in my coming podcasts. But for now, I bid you farewell. Thank you for listening, and I will see you for my next podcast. So, bye for now.